Anybody checked out the stream that went crazy last night on Twitter from Trump, got shut down by a DDoS attack, but it still pulled through. There were millions and millions of people listening, and there were billions of people that actually watched the video. We're going to watch a small snippet about we're in trouble if Trump loses the election. Let's go.
She is considered more liberal by far than Bernie Sanders. She's a radical left lunatic. She's saying she was strong on the border. We're going to be strong. Well, she doesn't have to say it. She could close it up right now. The election's coming up, and the people want to hear about the economy and the fact that they can't buy groceries because they don't have enough money to buy groceries. And this stupid administration allowed this to happen.
The Harris campaign responded this way, a statement. Trump's entire campaign is in service of people like Elon Musk.
Oh, Jesus fuck. Here we go.
Rich guys who will sell out the middle class and who cannot run.
You're not running on that. I'm sorry. You're not running on the platform of rich versus everybody else. You're not running on the 99% platform. It's not going to work. I'm sorry. You're not the 99%. You're not one. No, next.
Year 2024. All right, this is a woman who woman-splained artificial intelligence has 2 letters, but okay. Brian Yennis has more. Brian.
Harris, at its peak, about 1.3 million people were listening in as former President Trump and Elon Musk
So straight up, this is my first reaction since I watched the interview. The microphone and the way that it was capturing him, and it sounded like he had a lisp the whole time with the letter S, was horrible. Yes, call him out on that. It sounded like shit. Okay. It's fine to call somebody out on something. Does that mean you're automatically fit to be president? No. Because he failed on that. He didn't fail on that. He had nothing to do with that. That was technical issues. Okay. We've moved past that. Next. The whole idea, and I've seen this crap from other rallies about it's us versus them. It's we versus the 99.1%, 99 versus 1% shit doesn't work anymore. I'm sorry. It doesn't. The reason it doesn't is because the people that keep trying to jump on the 99% train are people like Kamala Harris and Biden and AOC and all these people that are backed by the people that they would consider the 1%. So your argument is completely invalid. Next.
Spoke for more than 2 hours yesterday in an audio conversation on X, but
Secondly, sorry I keep interrupting, but Kamala Harris, please go in somewhere and talk for 2 hours. Please talk somewhere for 2 hours. Please. So we can hear how you would interact. Please. I don't know. Where are your rallies? And again, I'm sorry I'm sounding so biased, but I just find it very difficult to believe that their retorts from what happened is what they are.
It was marred by technical glitches that delayed the event by more than 40 minutes.
We know that.
Users who tried to join the X Spaces convo were met with messages that said, quote, this space is unavailable.
Of course.
On X, Musk claimed the glitches were due to a cyber attack, writing, quote, there appears to be a massive DDoS attack on X, working on shutting it down. A DDoS or distributed denial of service attack is a federal crime. It involves flooding the site with data and knocking it offline.
All right, so let's go ahead and say something real quick. The fact that, bro, I need people to understand how crazy it is that Elon Musk, the owner of Twitter, came out and said there's a DDoS attack. The owner of the multi-billion-dollar company came out and said we're being DDoSed. That's not going to happen in any other publicly owned company on planet Earth. What they're going to try to do is sidestep and say, oh, we're having technical difficulties. Oh, we're having some issues over here. Oh, there's some networking issues. They're never going to be like, oh, we're getting attacked. and it's happening, and we can't do anything about it. I don't know if anybody else, and I'm sure there are plenty of people, but I know that 98% of the normal public does not understand how unorthodox it is for the fucking owner and CEO, etc., whatever it is, he might not be CEO, maybe he is, to come out and admit that you're getting hit by DDoS. Why? Because you're supposed to have all kinds of infrastructure in place that mitigates that shit. And by admitting you're getting hit by it, you're admitting that you're vulnerable. You're never going to find a financial institution that comes out and says, we just got hit by DDoS the next day. You might hear about it 4 years down the road. You're not going to hear about any of these big, like Ford, Chevy, Bank of America, all these places that constantly get smashed by shit. Come out and be like, yeah, we got DDoSed. No, because that generates public uncertainty. What does public uncertainty turn into? It turns into fear. Who is fearful? The stockholders. The fact that Elon Musk come out and said that we were getting DDoSed is setting a new precedent. I hope you understand that. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
An attack has not been independently verified, and critics are skeptical given the rest of X appeared to be operating normally and because people remember the technical problems that riddled that X space conversation last year when Florida Governor Ron DeSantis launched his presidential campaign on the platform. Nonetheless, once the conversation started, Trump and Musk spoke about the assassination attempt, fossil fuels, and illegal immigration.
Just cannot have a situation where our police officers are beaten up on camera by a gang of illegal immigrants, and then nothing happens to the guys that beat up the cops. I mean, and they're let out. This is unacceptable.
Well, we're going to change it, and we're going to get them out of the country.
There's a lack of empathy for the victims of the criminals, and too much empathy for the criminals.
Musk, who is funding and leading a super PAC to get Trump elected, explained why he's endorsing the former president.
I call myself, historically a moderate Democrat. So this is to people out there who are in the moderate camp to say, I think you should support Donald Trump for president. And I think it's actually a very important junction in the road, and we're in deep trouble if it goes the other way.
And Harris, back to you.
Shit.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. The Harris campaign, as we were just talking.
I mean, he just came out and said it. And I'll go ahead and tell you this, man. People like, oh, Elon's multiple. Of course, he's a billionaire and he has interests in mind. But I promise you, he cares a lot more about the ideology of America than a lot of these people that are voting the other way. I can promise you that. Why do I say that? It's because he came from another country. He came from Africa. I mean, people need to start emphasizing that he's an actual African American. He migrated, he came here from Africa, from South Africa. Came here, or he went to Canada, correct, first, and then, I can't remember where it is, but I mean, he is an immigrant. And he said that in the stream that he's an immigrant. And people that actually respect what America has set up, it doesn't matter how poor, how rich you are. If you respect it, then you're going to be saying the same thing he did. What's really crazy, and I'll say this, and it's not a hot take, is there's a lot of people that are born into this country that take it for granted. There's a lot of people that that may go back to that video that I was listening to the other night, that I reviewed and reacted to, where they were talking about American ideology, and folks were several generations into never having anything to have to work towards. So they just take it for granted. Well, that's exactly what he's talking about. people that aren't struggling will never know or never be able to understand how great we have it and how close to the edge we are to losing it by continuously voting in people that have ideologies that we've seen for the past 4 years. Period. I mean, that's how I feel. Onward.
About has been mocking that technical glitch that Brian was reporting on. It delayed last night's 2-hour Trump interview by more than 40 minutes. And pretty rich for a candidate
so this is what we were
running
saying
for 23 days to have her campaign going after him, and she still has not.
It turns into whataboutism. What about
the press conference?
What about Kamala?
Which leaves the Trump campaign surrogates trying to explain.
I understand why the media wants to be able to ask questions. That is your job, and certainly we respect that. I'm on here answering your questions, and I'm sure when the time is right that Vice President Harris will sit down.
No, she's not, though.
And answer all the questions that she needs.
She's not.
And that was a mistake, by the way. Obviously, those are Kamala Harris's surrogates trying to explain it all, and you saw that. Our chyrons on screen were right. Trump's not buying any of it. And he said this to Elon Musk last night.
He hasn't done an interview since this whole scam started. It's nice to have a forum like this where I can discuss something at length. And by the way, you think Biden could do this interview?
Oh, fuck.
You think
He said
no. This interview, they would take a pass. It's pretty sad when you think that somebody that does this for a living can't answer a question or is afraid to do an interview.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno.
All right, quick out. I've already given my opinion, you guys. And again, this is not even a like let's go attack the other side kind of interview. Or I'm sorry. So you guys have gotten my reaction. All right, that was a crazy freaking. All right, that was it, man. That was. Take it for what it's worth. It doesn't matter what side you're on at this point. We can all see the truth. We all know who's perfect and who's not. Guess what? Nobody's perfect. But guess what? There are some facts that are being overlooked and some people that are being attacked that shouldn't be. There are people that are able to go out and do interviews for 2 hours and maybe not be perfect, but at least they're out there talking. Meanwhile, we have people that we know are being controlled by the donor class that refuse to talk because they don't know what to say. They have to be told what to say based off of what somebody else says. And that's what it is. So thanks you guys for watching the video. As always, smash that sub. Smash the sub because we're going to bring some good content this next year. I promise you that. Take care.